Hey, hola, buenas tardes. How are y'all doing? I know this is a little different. This is, I'm early today and for good reason. Uh, I'm still trying to recuperate from the weekend in Cancun. I feel like I got a little bit of a tan. I'm a little golden, so I'm loving that. How are y'all doing? Glad you could join the conversation today. Um, I am going early today because at the normal time that I would normally be going live, we have the introductory call for the Get Started Investing 6 Day Challenge. If by chance you're thinking, man, I wanted to sign up for the Get Started Investing Challenge and I forgot, you can still get in. You can still get in. The call today is like introductions and orientation and that kind of stuff. The real stuff doesn't start until tomorrow. But that is why I am going early today. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. If you are new and you're like, who is this woman and what the hell is she talking about? I'm gonna introduce myself to clear that up. My name is Adelia Borishade. Although most people on the internet know me as Picky Girl Travels the World, I have been traveling the world on and off, since the pandemic. I don't know, last 10 years. I really don't know. But I have been living abroad for the last 6 years. And on this channel, I share my experiences traveling solo, living abroad, um, and I help Black women master their money because let's be real, having your money together makes living the life you want that much easier. So that is what I am here to do. And we also talk about money on this channel. If any of those things sound like your cup of tea, please hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications so that you will know when there is another live or when I have uploaded a video. Okay, so that's me. Um, and that's what we're about. I see so many familiar faces in the chat saying hello. Um, Glad y'all are here. I thought maybe I'd be here alone this early in the afternoon. Okay, so I do not have unlimited time because I do have somewhere to be at a specific time this evening. So we are going to get started. This is a list that I've kind of put together based on patterns I've seen with clients I've spoken to and conversations that I've seen in various online forums. These are I have 5 things on my list, and maybe from the audience, we may determine that there are some other things, but I've got 5 things on my list that are fairly common issues that people are making, and it is costing them thousands of dollars. And in some cases, it's costing folks hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay. Um, the first one on my list is um, when it comes to saving, saving what is left instead of paying yourself first. There are I'm sorry, y'all. Mia's walking across the living room. There are 3 rules, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to money. One is to live within your means. 2 is to pay yourself first. And the third one just skipped my brain. This is the first day back from vacation, so my mind is low. But paying yourself first. I know I know you have heard people say that before, and you're like, yeah, 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 that's good, and that's what I always intend to do. But Adelia, I got bills. Here is the thing. Think about from your personal experience how effective your saving strategy has been when you are taking care of all of the bills and things that come up first, and then after you've done all that, you look at what is left. How much is that to save versus how much you really wanted to put aside? What I have found over and over is that when people save, attempt to save money, but don't pay themselves first, that means, when I say, and this is a good question, I'm glad you asked this, Layla, what does it mean to pay yourself first? Exactly what it sounds like. You yourself, that means whatever your savings or investment goals is, like that should come first before the rent, before the car note, before the bill. Because what happens is you let those bills come first, and then next, because like you had this goal of like, oh, I want to save $500 this month, but then you got to paying bills, and then you found this thing on sale, and then you had to go out to eat with your girls, all of that stuff. And so then when all of those things are paid, you look and there's like $24 left. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't save the $24, but I'm saying it's costing you money to operate that way. So you should really pay yourself first. If that means making yourself like a bill and taking that money out that you have decided you wanted to set aside, do that. Our Black Utopia says, never met goals until I started scraping it off the top and having it automatically put into different accounts. This is what I'm talking about. And so think about the example I just gave. If check after check, month after month, your financial goals, your saving goals get pushed to the bottom of the list, and there's not as much money left to pay you as you had hoped. Multiply that over a year, multiply that over 10 years. That is costing you thousands of dollars. Okay. So when I say pay yourself first, that is literally what I mean. Automation, what is it? Kimberly Crockett mentions this. Automation really helps. Yes, because you don't have to think about it. The money is just not there. I use the anti-budget, because me and budgets, y'all know I got authority. I got issues with authority, even if it's my own authority. And so budgets I find very constraining. And I mentioned this, and let's see if I can find a link, because I didn't even think about this. I mentioned this budgeting strategy, which it's so simple, and it's all about paying yourself first, so much so that you don't even have to sweat the rest of this stuff. I did a video on it, and I'm grabbing a link to that in case by chance you haven't seen it. The anti-budget. Here is a link to the video I did. I can't take credit for this. I got this idea from Paula Pant on the Afford Anything podcast. It is really the antithesis of a budget. You figure out, what are those saving goals? What are those investment goals? What are those things you want to do? So like, after I got divorced and I decided I was going to live the life I wanted, which was a life centered on travel, that became my savings priority. And so I am a strong believer in staying ready so you don't have to get ready. That way, when the flight deal hits, I can book and I don't have to worry about how I'm going to pay for it. I was like, I want to put away this amount of money for travel. Excuse me. and this amount of money toward my retirement goals every month. With the anti budget, that money comes off the top. That is the only budgeting kind of thing you do. Whatever is left is what I use to pay the rent, to buy groceries, to, go out to eat, whatever. I don't have to keep track of, oh, am I within my entertainment allowance? It doesn't matter how I spend what's left because the money for the priorities have already come off the top. For me, that was revolutionary because prior to that, I had become uh, aware of like financial independence, retire early. And I knew that my savings rate needed to be higher. But I was making this same mistake I'm talking about right now, where I was trying to save from what is left instead of paying myself first. And once I heard Paula Pant talk about this, it was like a light bulb went off. And I was like, oh, this is how I can do it. And who was it that said it? I think, yeah, what Kimberly said. Because it came off the top, it left my regular checking account and went somewhere else. And I didn't think about it. That money was already gone. And so I also did not have to deal with a gajillion budget categories because I cannot do that. I understand where that comes from, but I can't live like that. So yes, set it, forget it, but pay yourself first. So I know that this could be potentially a hard hump to get over, this idea of, well, if I pay myself first, will I have enough to do all the other things? I would argue if paying yourself, having this savings, putting this money aside for investments is really the goal and really the priority, the other stuff will fall into line. It will also help you realize like, oh, my spending wasn't really lined up with where I said my priorities were. So yeah. I told y'all first day back from vacation. We struggling over here. S. Taylor, 10% is still the rule. Are you talking about for savings? Is that what your question is? Uh all right. Janin Mellis. I hope I'm saying that right. I also learned about the anti-budget from Paula Pant and it changed my life. I'm telling y'all, that was the final piece of the puzzle that clicked for me. That is the final piece of the puzzle that clicked for me. Okay. Um now, so interesting that okay. So S. Taylor, is 10% the rule? You're saying yes for savings. F. Doctor asks, is there a certain percent to put aside? This is another thing on my list. Okay. Um, if you are not saving or investing at least 20%, you are costing yourself money in the long run. Um, I say, everybody, whatever your financial goals are, whether it is to buy a house, to buy a boat, to move to another country, to go on vacation, at least, excuse me, y'all, at least 20% needs to be coming off the top and going where you want it to go. Whether that, and when I say savings, remember, I am including investing. Um, and yes, I would say 20% at minimum If you are not doing that, you are hurting yourself. You are making it that much difficult for you to achieve the financial goals you want. Uh, if you're finding like I'm not making traction toward the financial goals I want, I would say look at your savings rate. And again, I think Paula Pant. I am a Paula Pant fangirl. I know, especially if you find yourself in a situation where you are pretty much living check to check, it is very hard to see um, how you can make room to increase the amount that you're saving. And one of the things that Paula Pant talks about is do 1%. So, literally, if right now you are saving absolutely nothing, can you save 1%? Start there. 1% you should be able to do. Now, don't make me do math in my head right now, y'all. Okay, so get your own calculators and do your own math. And maybe you are like, oh, okay, 1%, that's not that big of a deal. You might want to bump it up to 5%. And then maybe if your goal is to be at 20%, maybe increase it 1% every month or every other month until you get there. Because 1%, that's a very doable number. That's a very doable number. Okay. Um, No, you did not miss the challenge. I mentioned one of the reasons I am going live today is because we have our kickoff call for the Get Started Investing Challenge tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. If you were like, I meant to sign up, but we had the holiday weekend, or you like me and you was tipsy on a boat in Cancun and you forgot, you can still register. It is the link is scrolling below in the little ticker at the bottom. Pickygirltravels.thinkific.com will take you to all of the courses, and you can register for the Get Started Investing Challenge. The kickoff call is tonight, so no, you did not miss that. Okay. Okay. So, minimum 20%. And actually, that's a good transition into the next thing. And okay, so all of a sudden, my list of 5 things is now a little longer than 5 things. Um, is it 20% of your net or gross? That's a good question. It's probably gross, but I mean, I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters. It's probably gross, but I don't think it matters. Um, Whichever one makes you feel better. How about that? We'll go with that. Um, okay. Um, does 401k or work pension count? Yes. Now, if for your 401k, you're contributing 5%, that's 5% of your overall 20. Now, the matches, that doesn't count. That's just free money that they're giving you. But yes, the if you are contributing through an employer plan, that counts as well as what you are doing yourself. And as I've mentioned this to y'all before, if you are looking at trying to reach financial independence and you want to know what is the minimum amount that you need to be putting aside, it should be 50%. And like I said, for me personally, I couldn't quite get there. And then when I started paying myself first, that's what allowed me to do that, because I knew what the number needed to be. I pulled that off the top and then I made the rest work. Okay. Alicia is on her fire journey and she has been steadily increasing, getting up there, closing the gap. Again, try, if you're in that same position, try 1%, and then 1%, and then 1%, and then you can get there. Okay, so another thing that we often do that is costing us, I would say this one is costing us hundreds of thousands of, excuse me, y'all. Another one that I'd say is costing us hundreds of thousands of dollars in our lifetime, if not millions, is saving too much and investing too little. I I know for some of you that have watched all of the videos, you're going to be like, Adelia, you're starting to sound like a broken record about this. But I cannot stress this one enough. Um, I know for me in my own personal financial journey, all I was ever told is you need to save. Make sure you're saving. Make sure you're putting away money to save. No one told me to invest. And I know for a fact that has cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more than that, because I got into investing, I don't want to say late in the game, but I could have gotten started much earlier. And the longer my money would have been invested, the longer it would have had time to grow and to compound. Okay. So if we're talking about that, you need to be paying yourself first, and you need to be paying yourself at minimum 20%. That's including whatever you're doing through your employer, whether you're doing on your own. Also, we need to make sure that, like, of that money, the bulk of it isn't just being saved, that you are investing. Um, I have told y'all, I have said this, you cannot save your way to wealth. You cannot save your way to retirement. Saving alone is not going to work. Saving is a short term solution. Saving is what you do to meet short term goals. Okay. Um, Investing is what has to happen to meet long-term goals. Investing is the only way. Now, I'm not saying it has to be the stock market. There are numerous things that you could choose to invest in, but investing is the only way to grow your money substantially. And I was not told that. So I would imagine most of you that are my age or so were not told that either. Um, and so I was, we've established on this channel that math is not my strong suit, okay? But I can remember sitting there thinking, this math ain't mathin'. Like, because I had read some things that talked about, like, okay, well, you need to save like 40%. You need to have 40% of your current salary to like live on in retirement. And I was like, okay, so if I save that for retirement, how much does that leave me to live on? And like, I got kids and they've got things to do and they want to go to school. Like, the math was not mathing. And the missing piece to that equation that I didn't know at the time was investing, because investing multiplies your money. And nobody told me that. So I'm trying to be for y'all who I wish I would have had. And I'm telling you that a mistake you may be making is focusing too much on saving and not enough on investing. And Janet makes a good point. investing in something like the stock market, again, this is long term. This is not, I want to buy a house 2 months from now. Let me put my money in the market and flip it. That's not how that works. Okay. You should not need money for at least 5 years. So we're talking about a mid to long term time horizon when you're investing. But that is what it's absolutely necessary. And I don't know if it is, like, I don't know if it's because I grew up in Black spaces. I don't know if it's because the socioeconomic class I grew up in, or what, but for whatever reason, that information was not communicated to me. And so I have sort of dedicated myself to correcting that. Um, and once I got clued in, it made the difference. Like, I doubled my net worth. um, I took the money from my Texas teacher retirement. This is, you know maybe this is the Aries in me, but when it was time for me to leave teaching in the US, I made a decision that may not be right for other folks, but I feel like it was the right one for me. I didn't have a whole lot of faith that the state of Texas wasn't going to try and screw me out my money. I have no Social Security contributions because the school district I worked in did not contribute. So Texas teacher retirement was all I was going to get. And I opted to take my money and I rolled it over, and I was like, I'm going to invest it myself. This way, at least if I lose it, I lost it, versus me sitting there empty handed in the state of Texas being like, oh, girl, we sorry, we lost your money. Too bad, so sad. And I think I have done significantly better than the state of Texas was going to do um, with that. So, yeah. Alicia says, agreed. I missed the additional time investing in the market. And now now I know so much time to catch up. Had I known. Exactly. And that is why I wanted to say that here. I mean, we're not going to cry over spilt milk, but I let the words I am saying penetrate y'all. Because there's so many, and especially to some of y'all that are younger, that are in your 20s and in your 30s. Because when I ask y'all, well, how are you investing? And it's, oh, well, I'm not doing it yet. I'm not sure what I need to do. Y'all, you are costing yourself money by waiting, by hemming and hawing. And that is, it's very hard to make up what you are missing out on um, by delaying. Okay. And again, that is one of the reasons that I created the Get Started Investing Challenge, is because there's a lot of us that know we should be doing something, but it's kind of like, I don't know what to do. I'm not, like, I don't want to mess it up. So 6 days, I'm like, give me 6 days of your time and we'll get you a crash course and get you started, get you over that initial hump so that you can get started and start making up for that, the time that you have missed. In the challenge, we talk about, okay, what are the things you can invest in? How do you know whether or not this is the right kind of investment for you? What kind of account do you need? For those, something else I've discovered, and I think the challenge works for these folks too. You've been investing through your job. Y'all got a 401k, and you pick some stuff during open season, but you really don't know what you're invested in. You don't know if it's really a good fit for what you're trying to do. That is where the Get Started Investing Challenge comes in. So again, you still got time to sign up. We got an introductory call tonight. The actual challenge content starts tomorrow. So it's not too late if that is something that you're still interested in. Okay. And what you're saying here, as Taylor, is very common. I hear this a lot. Now, there are some folks that are like still apprehensive about doing the challenge. And they're like, I would rather talk to you, Adelia, one on one and have you tell me what works well for my specific situation. Now, remember, y'all, I am not licensed to give anybody investment advice. That is not the business I am in. However, if you would prefer to do that in a one on one session, I have done that with clients where we've gone through their 401k and analyzed, like, this is what you're invested in, and this is what it's costing you, and this doesn't make sense for what you say you want to do. This does. Okay. What percentage? Now, that 20% is savings and investing. Of the 20%, how much should go to savings? How much should go to investing? It depends. It depends. Do you have an emergency fund? Do you have an oh shit fund? Because if you don't, maybe you might skew a little bit more towards saving, especially in the uncertain economic times that we're in now. But when we say you should be at least putting aside 20%, that includes saving and investing. Now, whether you do it 50-50, you do it 90-10, that's going to depend a little bit on your specific situation and your goals. Okay. High interest saving account recommendations. I am not one to chase interest rates because that requires effort, and y'all know how I feel about that. But Doctor of Credit, because I think I put that link in one of the other videos. Hold on, let me make sure. It is Doctor of Credit. They have a list of who is doing. Okay, here it is. I'll grab the link for y'all. Doctor of Credit keeps an ongoing list of what do you call it? Who is running the best high yield savings deals right now? Because the Fed has increased interest rates, we're actually starting to see high yield savings account rates go up. They're still not close to what you would make investing, but it's definitely better than a regular savings account. So Doctor of Credit, they have a high interest savings, a list where they go through. Okay. Okay, let's see. So 20% savings. Okay, I'm trying to catch up in the comments. How much should you save in a regular savings account? A regular savings account like at Bank of America that pays you 0.01% interest? Nothing. I mean, no. I think we need to replace our vocabulary. When we say savings account, we need to be talking about at minimum high yield savings account. Once you hit your savings goal, then be more aggressive with investment. This all depends. How much should be in your oh shit fund, in your emergency fund? That is a subject that is debated by the financial folks on the internet. Some people feel like you need a minimum 3 to 6 months expenses. Some people feel like you need to have a year's expenses. Personally, I also think about the flip side of that. If how secure is your situation? If you are employed by somebody you've been working for years, I mean, like this company is rock solid. The thought that you might lose your job is like almost impossible. Do you really need to save 12 months of living expenses? I don't know, because here's the thing, with 12 months of living expenses sitting as cash, you are you're technically losing money because of what inflation is doing. So I don't know. But if you are a freelancer, if you are somebody who, maybe has health situations or something like that where you might have to dip into that money, I maybe could see holding a larger portion of your money in cash. I don't believe that somebody can not know you personally and not know your life and tell you, okay, this is the amount that you need to have in cash, this is the amount you need to be here, because I think it's all very, very individual. But once you have your oh shit fund funded, it's in a high yield savings account so that it is at least making some money. You're still not beating inflation. Not right now, you're not. Because remember, inflation's like what, 8%? I think high yield savings accounts are finally back over 1% interest they are paying. Um, if you, in your situation, you still have money that you're like, okay, I want to put this money to work. Um, Investing, are you getting your employer match in your 401k? If you are, do you qualify for a Roth IRA, Roth 401k, whichever one? Put some money there. Do you still have money? Maybe go back and revisit adding more to the employer plan, or it also depends on what your goal is. If this is money that you are going to want to use with no strings attached earlier in life, instead of like after 59 and a half, it might make sense to put it in a taxable brokerage account. But so what you want to do and how you want to use the money is going to pay into it. Okay. And here's the thing. I don't mention this to make anybody feel bad, because it's me too. But it's like the Chinese proverb that I'm always misquoting, probably. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So we are not going to cry over spilt milk and be sad at whatever the missed opportunity was. But now that we know, I feel like we got to take some kind of action, because we don't want to continue to miss out on that. Um, yeah. Um, okay. What about those of us with student loans? That's an excellent question. If are your student loans federal, or are they private? Because if they're private student loans, did you know that there's a statute of limitations on how long they can go after you to pay them? It varies by states. In some states, it's as short as 4 years, and then they can't sue you if you don't pay. Am I telling you not to pay? No, I'm just sharing a tidbit of information I thought was interesting. If they are federal student loans, um, I know a lot of folks get on, what is it? Uh, the repayment plan that's based off your income. Because if you live outside the US and you are exempting your foreign earned income, you can have a student loan payment of $0. I know people who have moved abroad specifically so they could drop their student loan payment to $0. And the plan is basically to wait out the 20 years for the loan to get, I don't know that forgiven is the right word, written off. Because as long as you've been paying at it, even if your payment is $0 for 20 years, eventually they got to be like, all right, we ain't getting this money. So one thing I'm not going to tell you to do, unless this is weighing on your heart, I'm not gonna be the one that says, oh, you must pay your student loan debt before you can do anything else. I'm not going to tell you that, because I think student loan debt is unconscionable. I don't know how often. This is the third time, and I think I will offer it one more time in the fourth quarter. So there is a group that starts this week, and then I think sometime in the fourth quarter, I will offer it once, and then that'll be it for the year. Let's see. Does investing in the Robinhood app count as investing? Yes, it does. I'm not a fan of Robinhood. I would strongly encourage you to Google complaints about Robinhood or issues with Robinhood. I think there are better places that serve novice investors than Robinhood, is my my opinion. Just rolled over your 401k into an individual, now to figure out what to invest in. And this, y'all know what? I've been here, but I guess I looked around and was like, ain't nobody coming to save me. I got to figure this out. And so that's what I did. And I mentioned this, I think, in the live I did on Saturday, that, that's one of my special gifts, is that I tend to figure out stuff the hard way so other people don't have to. And so I like to share y'all the things that I figured out along the way. Aw. Okay, everything is politics. I'm not sure what question. I didn't see an actual question somewhere. So if I missed it, let me know. Let's see. Oh, okay. There were a lot more comments down here that I wasn't getting. Okay. Ba, 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 ba. You know what, Patricia? I think I think is the big one. I think a lot of folks don't invest because they are afraid of losing their money. I get that. But it's like, if you don't invest, you're guaranteed to have no more money than you already have. And are you okay with that? And most folks aren't. So it's like, you got to kind of find the right amount of risk that you are willing to take. Because anybody who tells you that investing is a sure thing, that you're always going to make money, those people are lying to you, and you should not listen to anything they say. That is one of the reasons why investing has the potential to make you so much money, is because of the risk associated with it. And like I said, I decided that I was going to invest my Texas teacher retirement system money myself. And I had to be real with, okay, you could mess this up and not have two nickels to rub together. Are you going to be okay with that? as opposed to my other choice was I would have to wait an additional 22 years before I would be able to access those funds through the state of Texas because I was no longer teaching. And y'all have seen how the state of Texas acts. Okay. Um, Especially when it comes to education and educators. And I just thought there is so much damage that they could do in 22 years that I figured I was the lower risk option. And if it meant if I screwed it up and I lost it all, it just meant I would have to work in some way, shape, or form. And to me, that seemed to be worth it. That seemed to be worth it. Okay. Um, I forgot all about my list. I do have a list. We're gonna go back to it. I'm gonna get through these comments real quick. Would you recommend using savings to pay off credit card debt? If it's high interest credit card debt, probably. Okay. HSAs, health savings accounts. If your insurance, your medical insurance is a high deductible plan, these are the only people who are eligible for HSAs. But this is like an extra way. It's not intended to be a way to save and invest money for long term, but a lot of folks are using it that way because you can put money into the HSA to save it to reimburse yourself for medical expenses. Well, you can also invest inside the HSA, and there is no limit on how long you can wait to reimburse yourself. So you could buy a prescription now in 2022, but you don't have to reimburse yourself until you feel like it. So it could be 2052 or whatever. And the whole time you're letting that money go in there and grow. So I have never had this as an option. An HSA is different than a FSA. HSA, you have to have a health insurance plan that is high deductible in order to count for that. Okay. All right. So let me see where I am here. Okay. So in advice for those of us financially supporting elderly parents. Remember, I'm not allowed to give anybody advice. However, had my mother still been alive, I would have been financially responsible for her. And I think what I've said so far still applies. That if there is some money that can be invested in something, whether that's the stock market, whether that's real estate, whether that's somewhere, it's the only way to grow the money in hopes of being able to sustain folks long term. And depending on the parents, that may not be like I thought my mother knew money stuff. And then when she had a stroke and I got to looking at the money and I was like, my mother retired early. She was like 52. And I was like, I assume if she's retiring, she must have the money to do this. No, sis did not have the money. And I'm not sure what her long term plan was, but it became very obvious to me like I must have been her long term plan, and she just neglected to mention it to me. So there is no way that I would have been able to make that work had she survived her stroke without investing, because there was no way I could have saved for her and for me. And She did not save and she did not invest, which is why I'm just like, how did she retire at 52? I'm not sure how she thought that math was going to math because it did not. It did not. All right. So other things on my list. Okay, so things we've talked about, things that are costing you money, not paying yourself first, not saving slash investing at minimum 20%. More if you're talking about financial independence, that number really needs to be like 50%. Um, there was something else that then, oh, saving too much and investing too little is costing you because you are missing time in the market. You are missing time for your money to compound. That is costing you money. Um, Something else that is costing you money that you may not be aware of, because this comes up every time I do the Get Started Investing Challenge, and it comes up when I do one-on-one consultations about people like trying to make sure they've got their ducks in a row to retire. Many people will say things like, well, I'm investing in my Roth IRA. I'm putting money in my 401k. They are putting money into the account, but they have not invested it in anything. And that is costing them thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So remember that your 401k at work, a 403b, that is a type of account. That is a container. Your Roth IRA is a different kind of account. It is in a container. You can choose to have money deposited into the account, put into the container, but you have to tell the people what you want them to do with the money. It typically does not happen automatically. You may work for an employer that if you don't make an election, they make one for you. But too many times, y'all, I have seen women say, I had this old 401k at my previous job. I've been getting these things in the mail. I finally decided to open it. And turns out my money is not invested in anything. It's just sitting in the account. And let me tell y'all, those accounts typically do not pay interest, and they may often have fees associated with them. So if anything, you're losing the potential gains from investment, and you're losing what you're paying in fees. Um, I have had women, be like, I thought this money was growing and it has been doing nothing but sitting there. I think in my account, I think they might pay 0.01% interest. So if you don't leave tonight with anything else, go look at your retirement accounts, your 401ks, your 403bs, 457s, your IRAs, and look to see not only is there money in there, but is the money invested in something? Because I see this far too often, which makes me think it is a very, very common occurrence. Okay. Um, I see it a lot. And that is an easy thing to fix, but it is costing. I mean, because imagine if you go 20 years just plopping the money in, thinking that you're invested in something, but you're not. And then when you finally start looking at your numbers and you're like, there are hundreds of thousands of dollars less in here than I was expecting. Like that is not cool. That is not cool. Okay. All righty. Okay. The other thing that is on my list of things that are costing you money that you probably don't realize is something called lifestyle creep. I don't know if you're familiar with this term, but typically, as people start to earn more money, their lifestyle starts to grow a little by little. You know, like when you're first starting out and you're not making a lot of money, there are things you do without because you're not making a lot of money. You get a raise, you get a bonus. You think, oh, well, I deserve this. Like I want to be able to go out to eat for lunch. I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to do that. And all of a sudden, you look back and you realize, like, I'm making twice as much money as I used to make, but I still am living check to check, or I'm still not being able to save that 20% that I wanted to. And the reason that has happened is lifestyle creep, and it kind of creeps up on you. It's not something I think that consciously happens. It sort of just kind of pops in, and it 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 robs you, but you're not even aware of it. So BJM says it plainly: live below your means, and you actually have to work at keeping lifestyle creep in check. Um, I because not keeping it in check is going to cost you money that you could have been putting toward your goals. Now, am I saying you got to struggle the whole time? No. But I want you to be cognizant of these things as you are making financial decisions. I talk a lot about financial confidence. I want it to be your choice to say, I'm buying this new Gucci bag, and that means I might not be able to put this money toward my savings, or, like, I want you to be conscious and you make the choice as opposed to just letting things sort of just happen to you, and let things just happen to your finances, because that's how we end up at the end of the road and we're like, why isn't this mathing, you know so lifestyle creep is something to definitely consider. I know that I've thought about this a lot. Like, this is my second time living in Mexico City. The first time I lived here, I was technically on sabbatical. I had a fixed amount of money to live on. And so I was very conscious of how I spent that money. And so now I'm kind of like, I'm less of that. And it has struck me like, oh, girl, you better watch this, because is this lifestyle creep? Are you letting things get out of control, or are these choices to say yes to things that you used to deny yourself because you were in a different mindset then? So just some food for thought. No, this normally I go live on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Today I went live early, so not you. It's me. It's me. Okay. Going back and seeing what questions I meant. But an HSA question. How do you get the money if it's not for medical expenses? Um, I don't think you can. That's the whole point. But this is how people are using it. They are when they pull money out, they are reimbursing themselves for medical expenses. Because if you don't use the money for medical expenses, you're going to be taxed. So the key is to save all of the receipts for any kind of qualified medical expense so that when you pull the money out, uh, you will be doing it within the letter of the law. Okay. Okay. And there was a comment. This is very true. This is very true. There was a comment somewhere I saw about volatility in the stock market. Ah, here it is. It was Lily. Stock market is volatile right now. It is. It is. I'm not going to downplay that. It is. Uh, but there's another way that you could look at the stock market right now. You could look at it as lots of things are on sale. And so if you entered the stock market now, you could be buying things at a lower price than you would normally. And I believe it was Greta who talked about you buy low and sell high. Okay. So it is volatile. But it's all about risk and reward. And there are some people for whom the stock market does not hold the appeal for an investment option for them. And there are other things you can invest in, like one is real estate. However, if you don't have a lot of money to get started, you want something that has the least barriers to entry, it's hard to find something more suitable than the stock market. Okay. I think I have answered all of the questions. I think I have. So if you have a question, uh, if you have a question that I didn't answer, throw that in here now because we're gonna try and wrap this up because I have to be in the challenge in about 28 minutes. The last thing that I have on my list, and I'm putting in this on this list just because I feel like we need to be reminded. Okay, in this day and age, we hear lots of people talking about how you shouldn't be paying for travel. You should be getting points and getting miles, and you need to learn how to churn travel credit cards. You got to play the game. That's all great and good if that fits your lifestyle. But take this friendly reminder that if you are not paying off that travel credit card every month, you're not getting anything for free. Okay? Uh, The game only works if you are paying off the balance in full every month. Otherwise, you are not gaming the system. You are getting gamed. Okay. So, this is it doesn't really fit on a list, but it does because I know there are some people who are like, oh, I, I put everything on my credit card I can so I can get the points. That's great as long as you pay off the balance in full every month. If you don't, you are getting played by the credit card company because that's really what they're hoping that you will do. Also, I have noticed, I think this kind of goes hand in hand with lifestyle creep. There are folks who will find themselves spending more because they're thinking about it's all about points. I can get triple points for this, I can get double points for this. That's fine and good, but you got to pay it off at the end of the month. I recommend this as well. There is no rule that says you have to wait until you get a bill to pay the credit card. I recommend, honestly, if you are, especially if you're trying to put lots of things on the credit card to maximize the points, because it's very easy to lose track of your spending when you're spending on a credit card and you're not spending cash and you don't see your account balance going down. So I recommend uh, you buy something, send a payment to the account in that amount. That way, your actual cash amount of money that you have reflects what you actually have spent. Oh no, Greta. Oh no. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. Thank you for the super chat, YT. Thank you. Um, there are debit cards that operate like credit cards regarding points. But y'all know what I'm going to say about this. I'm always leery about using a debit card in numerous places frequently, given the world of credit card fraud we live in and skimming machines and that, because your liability when it's a debit card versus a credit card is different. So I'm always hesitant about using a debit card in that way. Okay. So I don't see any more questions. I hope we found this interesting and educational. And yeah, I think that's it for us tonight. I'm like, there's something I should be telling y'all, like, subscribe, share, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. I don't know, y'all. I'm still tired from this past weekend. I'm still tired from this past weekend. So I'm going to be using the rest of this week to recover from all of the fun in Cancun. But y'all take care, and I will see you around the internet. I love this, BJM. I love this. I think that's uh, a good way to end things. Okay, Yvette, I did see this question and I missed it, and I'm glad you posted it again. Would a REIT be considered the best of both worlds? A lot of people feel that way. A REIT is a real estate investment trust. It lets you invest in real estate with a relatively small amount of money. Um, much fewer, far fewer barriers to entry than if you were going out and buying real estate yourself. So yes, yes. All right, y'all. Toodaloo.